Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. There are a lot of things that affect your accuracy in piecing, more than just your seam allowance. In this video, I'd like to talk about all those things that come into effect and show you some of the methods and tools that have helped me achieve better accuracy. So let's start with our fabric. We need to pre-treat our fabric certain ways. If it comes straight off the bolt, obviously, I always start with pressing my fabric, and I don't like to pre-wash my fabrics. I actually just take my steam iron and give it a really good press because that makes those fibers readjust and gets my fabric ready for cutting. If you do like to pre-wash your fabrics, same thing will happen. You will still need to give it a good press because we always want to do that. The fabric gets stretched onto the bolts, so we do always need to give it a good press so all those fibers will realign before we start cutting. In some cases, I actually like to pre-treat my fabrics with a little bit of stabilizer, and you can do three things depending on what kind of stability you want. You can use Best Press, which is going to give you just a light stabilizer, or if you want a little bit more, in some cases I like to use Magic Sizing that is not as stiff as starch, but will give you a good body and help stabilize those threads. If you want even more stiffness, you can go and use starch. And the Magic Sizing, I actually just give my fabrics a little bit of a spray as I'm ironing. I don't soak it in the starch. And the only time I use the Magic Sizing is when I am going to be working with a bias edge. If I know I'm going to be cutting my fabric on the bias and sewing a bias edge, this is where I like to pre-treat my fabrics with the Magic Sizing. If I'm only cutting squares and rectangles, I don't worry about it. I just use it straight off the bolt. Now, if you are working with pre-cuts, for example, like charm packs, layer cakes, jelly rolls, and such, I actually encourage you to open the pack up and actually press every single piece before you start cutting it, because those pieces are just like your fabric off the bolt. It has not been pressed, and so those fibers are going to realign, and if you cut your fabrics before you press them, you could end up with a little bit smaller pieces. Your fabrics will kind of change on you a little bit. So the better idea is to press everything before you cut it. The first thing to consider in cutting are your tools. And rulers are, of course, a major component. I like to use Creative Grids rulers, as you may imagine, because not only because of their accuracy, I like it because they have the built-in grip on the backside, so you are certain that your rulers are not going to move on your fabrics. Of course, I love the Stripology rulers because the accuracy of those slits is ideal for cutting your units. So you can be sure that when you're cutting your strips or subcutting your squares and rectangles, every single one is going to be the same size. Another factor to consider is your cutting mat. I prefer a cutting mat that is stable, and you should just always check the surface of your cutting mats, because there are some out there that have a very slippery surface. So when you place your fabric on that surface and are going to align a ruler on top, that fabric is going to slide around and give you less stability. So just test your mats, and I like to use ones that are, first of all, self-healing and have a nice kind of grippy texture to it. Another thing to consider regarding cutting mats, and I know you can't see it on this mat, and that is the lines that are on your mat. If you prefer rulers that have white and black lines like the Creative Grids rulers, I wouldn't choose a mat that has lines in those colors, white or black, because that is going to be really confusing when you're using the rulers to measure. When you're measuring, other than the Stripology rulers, there's always that question where you place your lines on your fabrics. And what you want to do when cutting with regular rulers, instead of lining that line at the edge of your fabric, make sure that line just goes slightly on top of your fabric without seeing the edge of your fabric on the other side of the line, and then make your cuts. What's beautiful about the Stripology rulers is that when we cut even just one square, I always start by going through the zero, so that gives us that clean edge and positions our fabric perfectly for that one square or that one rectangle. So we don't need to worry about where we're placing that line on the fabric. Now, then we move it on to our cutting tools, our cutters. You can use whatever cutter works for you. And I always say, you know, whatever you're used to, use that. However, one thing that comes into effect regarding our accuracy is, of course, our blade. We need to change our blade on a regular basis. And there's not really a time or anything to change when it's time to change your blade. But once you feel that your cutter is not going smoothly through 4 layers of fabric, and or at least there's some nicks in it when you make a cut and your fabric is hanging together, then it's time to switch out your blade, and you will notice a greatly improved accuracy in your cutting by just changing your blade. So then we're moving on to our sewing. Thread choice can impact your accuracy. You want a fine yet strong thread, and Aurifil is my favorite. I like to use a 50 weight thread because it's nice and fine for piecing, so it melts nicely into the fabric, and then as you press it, it gets the fabric to fold over very nicely. So that is my favorite and my preference. Along with your thread, your sewing machine needle comes into effect as well. So I like to use a Microtex needle or a Sharps needle. They are much sharper than any universal needles, and so they will penetrate that fabric much nicer and leave a lesser hole in your fabric and not pull on any fibers. So that will greatly improve your accuracy. And remember, you need to switch out those needles. Even though they last and last and last, they will lose their sharpness. And so I always recommend changing those needles out on a regular basis. Again, you can't really tell when is a good time. I usually go by how much I've been sewing on that particular machine, and then just give it a fresh new needle. Now, seam allowance. Seam allowance, of course, is our major component. And we always, in piecing, we want a scant 1/4 inch seam. Now, what is a scant 1/4 inch seam? A scant 1/4 inch seam means that you sew your seam, and then after you've pressed that seam to one side, that is going to be a 1/4 inch accurate measurement. And how to achieve that perfect 1/4 inch seam or a scant 1/4 inch seam? I always recommend getting a 1/4 inch foot for your machine, but they are as different as they are many for the many different machines. So there are some that have a thinner front, wider back, some are thin all the way, and then some will have a flange guide on each side, on the side of the foot that you're supposed to guide your fabric up against to get that perfect 1/4 inch seam. But I'll tell you this, do not trust your 1/4 inch foot without measuring it or measuring that seam on it. So in that case, I actually always recommend using a seam guide to check your 1/4 inch seam, because I have learned that between all my 1/4 inch feet, I am still aligning the fabric in different places just based on that seam guide. So this is the seam guide from Perkins Dry Goods that I actually really recommend using. And this is how you use it. I'm going to bring it over to my featherweight here. So that seam guide has a hole here that you are going to put your needle through. So I'm just going to guide it underneath my machine, find that hole, and stick that needle right through the hole. Now the needle is through the hole, and I want to make sure that the seam guide is straight. And then I'm going to put my foot down. And as you can see, that seam guide is acting as my fabric. So this is where my fabric should be positioned, exactly going under the foot. And this particular 1/4 inch foot, that edge is a little bit inside of that edge of the foot. So if I were to guide my fabric on the outside of this foot, it would be a needle width or two too wide of a seam. So this is why I used some things to, I like to use my ruler stickers to just align, to mark where that fabric should be guided. I'm also making a mental note on where my fabric should always hit as I'm sewing on that foot. So you can test that, your 1/4 inch foot with a guide like this, because everyone is going to be different, and this is going to make the biggest difference in your accuracy going forward. So after we get our seam perfect, the next step is our pressing. So as we press, again, I like to use steam when I am pressing, but that is a personal preference. So you can do all the same techniques with a dry iron. For most of my patterns, I prefer to press to one side because I like to nest seams. So, but when I'm pressing with my steam, you always want to make sure that you fold your fabric out first and use your fingers to push that seam out as much as you can. I never recommend pressing from the back side of the fabric because that is always going to leave some creases in your seams on the front. So always press from the front side of your fabric, push that seam out with your fingers, and then just move your iron along across that seam. Do not push that seam out with your iron because that can cause some stretching and distorting of that seam. Now, as I said before, I like to press my seams to each side, so as I'm putting together a block, I can nest all those seams and make everything fit nicely. There are cases though where I do press my seams open, where there are so many seams coming together and there's just absolutely no way to press to one side. So this will make everything lay down much flatter. And so in very few cases, I do like to press seams open. So after you have perfected your 1/4 inch seam and aligned things right on your machine, then it's time to test your 1/4 inch seam. And I've seen so many cases where people have tested their seam by just sewing 2 pieces together, grabbing a ruler and measuring that seam. But that's not enough. What we need to do is actually measure our piece after you have pressed it. So what I recommend doing, I usually cut a 1.5 inch little strips, just little scraps. I sew 3 of them together and press them. And I always recommend when you're sewing 3 pieces together, sew 2 together first, press that seam, and then add the 3rd piece and then press that. And then once you have these pressed out to each side, then you're going to go ahead and measure that middle strip. So I'm going to show you using my ruler. I'm going to just lay the 1 inch lines on the ruler right on those 2 seams, and they should be aligned exactly on those seams. If you can see that it's a little bit on the inside or the outside, then you know how you can adjust your seam by either moving your needle over or just adjusting where you're aligning your fabric on your foot. But this is the best way to test your seam and to really see if you have a perfect scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. Another thing to look into as far as our accuracy, and that is when we are doing something where we're not using a 1/4 inch seam, but we are maybe drawing a line and then stitching on that line and folding the corners out, doing typical folded corners. So let's check that out. Here I have a square that I'm putting on a rectangle. I have drawn a line, and this I'm supposed to sew on that line, trim my seam allowance, and then fold my fabric out this way. One thing that really helps when you're doing these kinds of units is as you sew, you draw your line, and then as you sew, I hope this is close enough. Maybe we should move it over to the machine so you can see it. But as I draw the line, I'm actually not going to stitch right on the line. I'm stitching to the side of the line. So let's just imagine I drew that line with a pen, and then I'm just drawing another line with my stitches, but I'm drawing it right next to the line and not on top of it. And I'm doing that on the side that is going to get trimmed off. So the stitches come on the side of the line, and this makes it so much easier to just fold over the fabric, and then this way you will get a much straighter unit. And then you trim that from behind, and that just little extra needle width over is going to help that fabric fold over nicely, and you're going to bring it to the corner perfectly. Now the last thing I want to mention is when we are sewing 2 units together and you want to match seams, and sometimes we have a whole lot of seams that we need to match, and as I told you before, I like to nest my seams. So in all my patterns I give you pressing instructions so that you can do that. However, there's another feature that you want to add to that process. If you or especially when you're just starting out, and that is you want to pin those intersections. You lay these units together and you want to pin these intersections. So you want to pin them straight across from where you're sewing. Pinning things this way could still cause that top layer to shift. So you want to make sure that you nest those seams and pin across the direction that you're sewing, and you want to maybe pin all the intersections of the seams that you want to nest and match up perfectly. And pins are not all created equal either. I like to use pins that are extra sharp, thinner, for especially when I'm measuring things like that. And one of my favorites are the Clover silk pins because they are very fine and they slip through the fabric very easily. This is different from what I'd be using for other things, but for piecing accuracy, I like those small silk pins that will just slide through easily. So that is all of our little tidbits, all of the little tidbits that have helped me throughout. I'm sure there are many more, and maybe you have more to share, but I hope some of these things will come into mind when you are doing your piecing and maybe help you along the way. Thank you for watching.